All right, guys, is today the day? Are we gonna actually hear this thing run for the first time? Stick around to find out. So I mentioned in a previous video how I'm going to be oil priming this engine. That's why we've got the valve cover off right now. What I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be using a hand pump connected to a barb fitting where the oil pressure sensor normally goes. So I got some adapters, I got a barb fitting on there now, and we're gonna use this to actually push oil through the motor so that ideally we can see what's going on up top. So right there on the block, you guys can see that barb fitting. That is normally where the oil pressure sensor goes. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna hook up a hose, this guy here, and we are just going to hand prime this engine. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this pump connected to that barb fitting. It's a little tight quarters, but we're gonna get this down there. I've got a hose clamp on here, and we will get this all tightened up. Two barbs should be enough. All right, hopefully these hose clamps will keep this thing from leaking. And let's see what happens and if this great idea I have works. All right, it's hit the block. I don't see it all pouring out, so it's going into the motor. I also don't know if I'm gonna have to refill this pump at all, because I don't know how much oil it's gonna take. Hopefully it's not all just going to the pan. Again, I don't actually know that this is gonna work. I'm gonna start pumping faster to try and at least build pressure. So I have a bad feeling that it's just going into the pan. Okay, yeah, it's unfortunately it's gotta just be going to the pan. Because I'd be shocked if that much oil. I hear fluid. I heard bubbles. I saw a drip over here. Yeah, I see it dripping out of the rocker arm. You might be able to get a shot from over here. But yeah, you see. All right, guys. It took a lot of pumping, but we've got oil coming out of the rocker arm assembly, which is exactly what I was looking for to know that we've got oil moving through this motor. We're gonna go ahead and get a little more going. I see a lot of drips. Are you able to see those? Yes, dude. Okay. All right. Now that I know we've got oil moving through the system, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and rotate the crank. This way we can make sure that we've got that oil moving, everything nice and lubricated. Before we turn the crank, I am going to go ahead and pour a little bit of oil on the timing chain because that hasn't seen oil since this thing was ever. And for this first start, guys, it's always good to use a break-in oil, and I am using Lucas. This is their SA30 break-in oil, so a little heavier weight. It's just to make sure everything gets lubricated. Now, let's go ahead and turn this over. We are going to do 2 full cycles to get back to top dead center. So that's going to be 4 full rotations of the crankshaft. And this is the first turn. Actually, I really should have poured some over the crank. I put some over the timing chain. I should have put some over the crank. We're gonna go ahead and do that now. And I said crank and I meant cam. All right. All right, so that's 1 rotation, half a cycle. That is 2 rotations. Let's go ahead and get 1 more just to make sure everything's lubricated. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give the hand pump another good go, just to make sure we've got fluid on all the crank bearings, rod bearings, and everything else. That is our 3rd rotation. 1 more, and we will be back to top dead center on cylinder 1. And there we go. That's it, guys. All right, now that we've got the oil primed, we can go ahead and get this valve cover back on. With the valve cover on, let's go ahead and put some spark plugs in. All right, now that we've got everything buttoned up, of course, we've got to get some spark plugs in. And come on, you guys know me. Of course I'm using that E3 good. And that Diamond Fire technology. If you want to know more, hit me in the comments. So for gasket seat style plugs, all you guys need is a 1/4 to a 1/2 turn after you've gotten it fully seated. And that's it. You got those crush washers in. We can go ahead and get these wires back on. And yes, we've got these E3 ignition products. Race wire. We gotta get the one that fell into the car. I'm sure eventually my phone will run out, but so we got some spacers that go under here for the side of the loom. Yeah, the other thing that's funny is, that's tough with the Ray-Bans, you gotta frame correctly. And then we'll get our wires connected. As a whole, the car is ready to go. All we've got to do is get it down on the ground, and then we're going to top off the engine oil because there's obviously not enough in there yet. And then, of course, get this hand pump off. So let's get this thing on the ground and outside of the garage. That's right, because the axle is hanging, and I've got it on the frame. I always forget how low this car is. I mean, we've got the car on the ground. We're gonna go ahead and get the rest of this oil into the motor, and then we will fill it up. Once I get this emptied out, we are going to pull that barb fitting off so that we can put the oil pressure sensor on. It's already getting air. All right, now that it's getting air, I'm gonna stop pumping because the last thing I wanna do is pump air into my bearings. So let's go ahead and get this thing off. Of course, getting it off is gonna be a pain. There it goes. Another thing that's really nice about this pump is that there's I don't really know what to call it, but there's a ball bearing that prevents backflow. So this doesn't really wanna drip out. Obviously it will with gravity, but it doesn't just pop. I don't know what I mean by pop. Leave that off, let's top it off. The oil capacity for the 20R is gonna be about 4.6 quarts. So now that we've emptied out the pump, we're gonna drop this down to roughly half a quart. Coolant! We haven't done coolant yet. I'm just looking over the car trying to figure out what else we need, and I just realized that we haven't put coolant in it yet. So let's go ahead and get this thing outside, and we will put some coolant in there. And I think we're ready to start, guys. I'm nervous. I don't want to do it, but we got to do it sometime. Parking brake. Daylight. Man, it's been a long time since I've seen this car out. All right, let's go ahead and get some coolant in this radiator so that we don't overheat the motor. Using Peak antifreeze for Asian vehicles. Doesn't get more Asian than this thing. No, I don't want to spill it everywhere. I'm getting a funnel. All right, we still need more. I can finally hear it filling up. All right, I think that's actually it right there. We're gonna let the fuel pump prime is where we're gonna start. Are you filming? Okay. Going through a checklist, guys, making sure that we've got everything. We've got spark. The distributor is not bolted down. We're gonna have to be able to adjust that. So I'll probably tighten it up just a little bit. Because the fuel system is absolutely dry. Once we put fuel in the tank, which I forgot, we still haven't done yet, we're gonna put fuel in the tank and then we'll let the fuel pump run so that it can prime this system. And then once we actually see that we've got fuel, at least in this front fuel filter, it's probably time to give it a start. So I guess it's time for fuel. All of these are nice and tight, so let's go ahead and get some fuel in this thing. Hopefully this does not just leak everywhere. Should have bolted that in place. So this is 4 gallons. We've got another 2.5. Want to make sure we've got enough fuel in the tank because this is a in-tank fuel pump and it's never good to run those things dry. I also have no idea if this fuel tank has any holes in it or not, so I guess we're going to find out here shortly. This was a replacement that I had to buy because I worked with I took the fuel tank to a shop to have them do the whole renew, I think it was called Gas Tank Renew was their name, and fully restore the tank and everything else. Shop completely botched the tank and ruined it. So this is why I learned how to do everything myself. It's crazy, I still hear it flowing. So that's 4 gallons. Got another 2.5. It's crazy to think that I bought this car fully running, full interior, and drove it from North Carolina. Yeah, this car, I found this car back in the Craigslist days. I found this thing listed up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. My dad drove me up there. It was a running, driving car, and I drove it home. So, and then of course, I had to mod it. And that was the beginning of the end. So normally these cars don't have a rear filler. If you go around to that side of the car, you'll actually see that there is a fuel door. But of course, wanting to mod things and be cool, I've always loved the American muscle cars and stuff, how they've got the filler on the back. And so this was one of the mods that I wanted to do. So one of the old Toyotas, the early Celicas, had a rear filler. And so I was able to get a panel cut from a donor car and put in this one. So one of the things that we're going to do for the channel, Jay, is because I built it so I could do podcasts and stuff. one of my buddies suggested, because like I've done a walk around video of all my cars, or I've been doing walk around videos of my cars, and he's like, you should do walk around videos of like, you know, other people's cars. And I was just like, so you just volunteered and we're going to do yours first. He's got a Toyota 4Runner, like full overland build and stuff. Nothing, I say full over. It's a very tasteful, light overlanding build. And so we're going to do a walk around video of his. But you've got some cool cars, man. I know that the Celsior drives, so we can do that one. Don't stop recording. I saw your thumb move to push a button. He's ready. This one's Daigo, right? Okay, cool. Daigo runs. We just got to put a couple panels back in him, and he'll be good to do a little walk around. This feels like so much fuel, but it's also like there's no vent, so it's like glug 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 glug. I feel like I've put like 30 gallons in this thing though. In proper fashion, we forgot something. The car has a bypass regulator on it for the fuel, and the Mikuni carburetors run at a really low PSI. So we want to make sure that we have a fuel pressure gauge in line after the regulator so that we can get that set correctly. So we're going to go ahead and get that installed. So now we've got our fuel pressure gauge. So when we prime the system, we'll at least see if we're getting this set up right. I think it's time. I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to do this. All right, let's get our negative battery cable reconnected. It's time to start. So be sure that you guys subscribe, hit that like button, get your notification, and we'll see you in the next episode.